Hello and welcome back to Talking to a podcast. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by...
Hayden.
And today we're going to be talking about the TMNT 2003 Season 1, Episode 8, Fallen Angel. So, what do you think about this episode briefly?
This episode, briefly, Teddy, is very much a Casey episode. This is just Casey written all over it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll definitely have to say that because it is a Casey episode, I would just have to say that it makes this episode like 10 times better. And I would definitely have to say that this definitely does improve his character and make just everything about him just so much better. Okay, so yeah, let's actually get into this one. So we first start off with the some pearl dragons breaking into a store, and that's when the turtles and Casey stops them. So what do you think about this little scene?
Jumping straight in. Well, this scene was a bit peculiar for me because I didn't expect it at first. Like I wasn't expecting the purple dragons to be in the first scene, and I really didn't expect to see different characters at all in the first scene because we usually see the turtles together and in the first couple of scenes, and it was just really peculiar. But it was really cool to see how they're exploring into different characters and different arcs, which is just really awesome because usually that's what I do. I go and do that. I go into different story arcs and wonder how things could be different. But they've taken this episode, and yeah, I just really didn't expect it.
Yeah, let's say that like this whole scene here was just amazing for me. Just because I feel as though this is something which I want to see in more comic book shows where we get to see the heroes just stopping like a random crime just to, I don't know, it makes them feel a bit more like they're actually being real superheroes and actually feel like they're actually helping out their community and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because I feel as though this is like something that I feel as though that like Spider-Man should be doing in his cartoons. Like every episode they start with robbery. I just think that just makes it a bit more hero-like.
Mm.
And but like we're saying that with the actual the robbery, I'd have to wonder is why was there no alarms on the store? That's the only thing I've got to say about that. Um, but yeah, then we do go into the next bit, which I must admit I really enjoyed because we got to see the turtles take down the pearl dragons, and I really like the effect they had on the turtles, where it's just the silhouette of the turtles, and they were all mostly blackout, and then they'll go and punch the pearl dragons. Absolutely love that scene. Um, but then we do get to see Angel and her interaction with Casey. What do you think about this scene?
Um, this scene was actually pretty unique. Like we are exploring a new character outside the group of the turtles and going into the real world of Casey Jones and how he has been interacting with his community. And just to see him interact with a person other than April in the turtle universe is was really cool to see, and to see how he cared so much for this young girl who was throwing her life away with the purple dragons. And it was just really cool to see that Casey, even though he's a how do I say this? Casey is one of those guys who's strong, absolutely powerful, but he hasn't got a good intellect. But just seeing his heart through this character was actually really nice to see and to show he does care, and he does care about his community, and he does care about people, especially for Angel, which was really, really cool to see. And just seeing his character develop and grow was just really cool to see, and I really did enjoy that.
Yeah, I'd just say either like with Angel as well as her grandma scene, I feel as though that like this is something which I would have liked to explore a bit more in the show where we get to see Casey just helping out with his community. As I feel as though that there is like a story there because I don't know, with like this version of Casey, he seems like a really interesting character that you would want to see his interactions with everyone, whether they were good or bad. I just feel as though that could just be his like his own show on its own.
Oh
I
yeah,
just think that'd be
definitely.
amazing. But like speaking of Angel, what do you think about her character?
Angel's character was very different, and I actually really enjoyed her character. Her character is that typical young, dumb, broke teenager type character, and it was just really cool to see how she wanted to become a purple dragon, and she wanted to become a great part of something bigger than herself, like every other teenager in the world. Like they join up thinking, "Oh, this is my family, this is my posse," but then they realize this is not their family. This is just a criminal organization, and it was just really cool to see how well, kind of everyone has it. They're naive, like how naive this teenager was, and how passionate she was because she wanted to become something bigger than herself. And the real thing that caught me off was when she said, "When I get my purple dragon, I'm going to wear it with pride." That was very, very strong, head on, passionate, like stubbornness of every teenager. And that was just really cool to see. And of course, in the episode, we see her character develop even more. And it was just really, really cool. I can't put it into words because it is just how the character is, but it's like a image of how every other teenager was, if you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like I could definitely see where you come from. Just because I feel as though with Angel, I feel as though she's like a really interesting, great character, and a character which I really did wish we did get to see a whole lot more of, because we don't really. I think she's only in three more episodes after this, so it's really disappointing because she's a really great character, and I think she definitely just proved it in this episode how much of a great character she can be, her storylines and potential stuff that she could tell with the turtles. And I do think that, as you were saying about the whole teenage aspect and how so everything so like related to and all that, I do think that like that is like a really great like message, just because it feels to that back then and even now that like the whole gang thing and getting like roped into that world and stuff like that is a very big issue. And I do think that with the way that I was able to handle it, I do think they did like a really good job of how they handle it, and it was just really amazing. And this is also like another one of these episodes where I wish that they play this one a lot more on TV, just so that people can actually see it, get the message out there, and maybe have some sort of role model and stuff like that. But one thing which I would really like to bring up, which is just amazing, was the fact that Angel was able to knock Casey out with one punch, whereas Raphael, in his first fight with Casey, struggled to fight him. I think that says a lot about Angel.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like that was pretty funny just to see Casey just being handed to literally just seeing Angel just putting on his ass was just really funny to see.
Okay, so going into the next scene, you see Casey go into the Pearl Dragon HQ, and he sees Angel fighting in an arena. So he goes in, and then he gets beaten up by Hun. What do you think about
Ah,
this scene?
that was a pretty cool scene to watch. Just seeing Casey jump in, save Angel against all the purple dragons was a very, very cool scene to watch indeed. And then, of course, we get Han out of nowhere, like the biggest guy around, fighting against Casey. And just to see Casey and Han fight was so unique. So, so unique. And I would have loved to see more of that. Casey and Han fighting. Like, you could make that into its own story arc and it would still work.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Casey thing throughout this whole show is arguably one of the best stories which they do take on for the character, and it's just an amazing story arc. And I do think that I would say that the story between the two characters just works so well, just because you know the like background between the two. Um, but with this scene, I thought it was like really great. But the thing is, with this scene, I do have like again like loads of little questions about this. Like, one, how does Casey know about the like all the like the HQ for the Purple Dragons? If like only a few episodes ago he was beating up all the Purple Dragons on the street. The second one is, why wasn't Casey like raging out a bit more because of the Purple Dragon stuff? And then with the Hun stuff, as much as I like Han and I feel like he had a very good representation in this episode for more or less like a really good way of introducing him as a proper villain instead of just being there in the background type thing. I do think it was a really good episode for his introduction in a way, but I do think it's a bit weird that like Hun just picks him up by by the head and goes, "Oh yeah, I know it's you, Jones." Even though they probably haven't seen each other for like 20 plus years, so I do find that a bit weird. Um, but then going into the next scene, we do have Donnie working on the battle shell, and Mikey presses a button, and then things go wrong. What do you think about this scene?
That was a fun scene to watch. I really did enjoy watching that. And just seeing Donnie work on the battle shell was really quite interesting because Donnie's mind is just, I don't know how, but Donnie has things for everything. He thinks of every little scenario and he just does it. And that's what makes Donnie Donnie, and I just love that about him. But seeing the battle shell tear up the layer, that was funny to watch as well. But I just quickly want to ask as well. When the battle shell is going around the layer, it looked to be somewhat 3D in a way compared to the 2D version. If you understand where I'm coming from with that, it looked 3D, like an actual mesh compared to an actual drawing. Did they use
Yeah,
3D software for that?
yeah, they did for like this little scene. They do sometimes use it for like for certain scenes, I think, but like is not very often throughout the show. I know that in the last season of the show, they use it to have like a as a background, but like I'll say that with this show compared to other shows around this all time that would use CGI, that would be somewhat very questionable. I'd say that with this one, it worked really well, like blended in quite nicely. I would say that the CGI did really hold up really nicely, and yeah, I don't think, I would say it did hold up really nicely.
Hmm.
But with that scene, I do have one little question: how did that van fit inside the elevator? That's my only question I've got to say about that.
OMG, yeah.
Um, and yeah. Okay, so then the next scene we get to see Casey having a very good roasting line for Hun about saying something about his dad and saying about how he never had one, and then he tells Angel to go and get the turtles. What do you think about this scene?
Well, seeing Casey Jones locked up in the cell like that was a bit was a bit of a reality check for Casey, and just seeing him struggle trying to get out of the cell, thinking, "Oh no, Hun's gonna do something to him. This could be the end for Casey," but apparently not. But seeing Angel come to the rescue, that was pretty cool to see. And I'm just wondering, how did Angel know where to find Casey in the first place? Like, she heard everything, but I'm not too sure how or where she got in. We may never know, but just seeing Angel come to the rescue and realizing her mistakes was actually really cool to see, because she actually saw what the Purple Dragons was really about. And of course, when she saw that, she was thinking, "Oh my gosh, what have I done? What have I done? I've got my friend locked up in a cell and they're going to kill him." And it's just really cool to see, because she realized her mistakes and she corrected them, and she became a good character. Like, she was already a good, decent character in the first place, but she was becoming the the bad side, the dark side, if you will, to a darker path in life, which was just really cool to see how she tried and helped Casey in the first place, but of course she needed help from the turtles. That was just really cool to see.
Yeah, I'd say that with this scene, I really do enjoy the interaction between Casey and Hun, and this is something which I would definitely would have liked to have seen a lot more of, as I felt as though that there was a lot more to have seen there with like stuff which they did show, and I do think that the tension between the two was like really great. But with the Angel stuff, as much as I did enjoy it because it did show Casey's more compassionate side about his character, as well as Angel's good side of her character, I do feel as though that maybe a little part of me wants to say that Angel's character did change just a little bit too quickly, just because like her whole motivation up to this point was basically she wants to join the Pearl Dragons, and Casey was in the way, and now that Casey tried to step in to stop her, she blames herself for it. I do feel as though that maybe she might have changed a bit too quickly, just because there wasn't really any real motivation. Because I mean, I mean, I don't know if it didn't really make sense, but like I do feel as though that she definitely did change a bit too
Yeah,
fast.
I
Oh, it's okay. Like you've got something to say, say
I
it.
just wanted to say, yeah, I do 100% agree with you on that one. Seeing her character change from that quickly was a bit of a disappointment, in my opinion.
Hmm. In the next scene, we do see Angel or give her turtles, and that's when they go to the to the Pearl Dragon HQ. But there were a few little weird things in this scene. I first of all want to say that I love Raphael coming out the garage and saying, "This better be good, kid." Love that scene. But the scene before that, when Angel looks in, there's no car whatsoever there. Would you like to care and rant about that?
Ah, my pleasure. I just want to say, how is that even possible? Like going back to um your observation about how the truck actually got into the layer in the first place. I'm just as curious as myself, really. I'm just trying to figure out how did they even fit the truck inside the lift to get it up, and first of all, how did they even know Angel was there in the first place, despite the fact that Angel looked in and she saw no one there? Unless Donnie fitted some security cameras or sensors to detect if someone was there, but how would they have known? How would they have known? That's what I'm gonna rant on about.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be one of those things where, like, it's annoying because it's very unrealistic, but at the same time, you just can't deny it was a really cool scene with Rayo just coming out and going, "Oh, this better be good kid." I just can't deny it. That was a really cool scene, though.
100%, I agree with you on that one because I don't know how to describe it, but the lighting was just right. It gave the effect of like superheroes or like vigilantes, like a scene from Batman or something along those lines. It just was perfect.
Yeah. And then the next scene, which is also going to be a frustrating one, which I feel like you might not like notice, but when the Turtles wear the clothes, how does Donatello and Leonardo hide their weapons, even though they like stick out from them? So that's another thing to rant about, I guess.
Hmm. I guess because they're purple dragons, and of course they're walking into the purple dragon layer. I guess everyone is armed, so they don't bat an eyelid at it because they're gonna be like, "Oh, they're a purple dragon. They've got weapons." But everyone's got weapons, though.
Yeah,
As we can see further on in the episode, everyone's got certain weapons.
that's not what I'm trying to make here. You know how like Raphael and Mikey was able to hide the weapons in the pockets. Well, Leonardo had his ones on his scabbards, on his back with a shell. But like when we see him in the clothes, that like we don't see his swords, and that also goes for Donatello as well. We don't see the stick coming out of like his jacket or anything. I mean, his stick is not collapsible, so I'm very confused on how he was able to get that in.
Oh, now I see it now. Yeah, how does that work?
Yep, this is just going to be one of those things for like this vision tools can do a lot of things, but proving it like it's realistic is not one of them. But then we do get a pretty cool scene,
Oh,
I would say, or like two cool scenes. So I would like to talk about the Donatello one first. So basically we get to see Donatello, April, no, oh god, not April, Angel and Mikey go onto this like walkway thing to get Casey down. What do you think about that little scene?
that scene was pretty cool to see. Seeing seeing Angel help out the turtles and try and fight against the purple dragons. And of course, I just quickly want to shout out to to the turtles and their designs and their clothing. I have never, ever, ever seen the turtles wear human clothes before until now. And I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty funny and cool at the same time. Just them trying to blend in, being with humans, and just trying to act like a like a gangster. It's just really funny and cool to see at the same time. And it was just really cool to see their different characters in their human disguises. it was just really cool to see. But going back to the Angel scene, um, I didn't really have much to say to that, except that Angel is helping out the turtles, and now she's been trusted by the turtles to help them out too, which is pretty cool to see. Um, Seeing with Donnie as well how he used his staff to unlock the restraints from Casey's. I don't know what you would describe that as, where Casey was being hung from, but let's just say restraints for now. But yeah, it was just really cool to see. And I've just one more point before we move on. I just love Casey's smile and his tear coming down from his eye when Mikey gave him a present, of which it was his baseball bat. That just really cracked me up. Just seeing him smile and shed a tear. It's like, this is the best day of my life. I get to go down there and knock some purple dragon heads in. That is just priceless right there.
Yeah, I'd say that with the Trolls fighting the Pearl Dragons, I thought that was like a really good scene. I don't know, it just felt like really natural for. I don't know, it's just one of those things where they can't put into words because it's a really great scene, but at the same time, it's natural. But I will say this: I do think that the when Mikey and Donnie jump up in the air and then they do like that sort of like freeze frame in the air sort of thing before they go hit the guys. I do think that maybe they did hang on to that a little bit too long, and I do think that could like mess up the pacing for this issue, like this little scene here. But yeah, like, the Casey stuff that was somewhat sad. I would like to say, but going back to your point about the human clothes, oh boy, you should just wait until you watch the '80s show. They have some very unique clothing that will really make you question a lot of stuff. But like, another thing which I do want to go back to about the Pearl Dragons is when they go into the Pearl Dragons HQ building, they have a song going about for like hip hop stuff, and I want to go over the lyrics. Hip hop gonna get ya. I, I don't really know what to make of that soundtrack. It's a very unique soundtrack. That's all I gotta say about that. Um, but yeah. So going into the next scene, we get to see Raph and Leo go on and take out some Pearl Dragons before going up against Hun. What do you think about this scene?
Seeing the two turtles fight against the purple dragons, that was pretty cool to see. Just seeing the mass mob of characters go up against the turtles like that was pretty cool to see, and quite ingenuitive as well. Designing all those specific characters and seeing them fight against the turtles in their own unique fighting sequences, and just seeing something different was just really nice to see, and it kept the episode going, in my opinion. Just seeing the difference between the two characters, the two different species, and just having a all out brawl out with the turtles was just really cool to see.
Yeah, I'd say that we're just seeing the Raph and Leo going up against the Pearl Dragons. It was just like a really fun scene, but then there were like some things in there that was really questionable, such as Raph knowing what a guy looks like in his skivvies. So I'm really concerned about what he's been doing with Casey. Um, so
Oh
yikes.
jeez.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I was like, huh, did that really happen? Was the fact that when the Pearl Dragon like threw Wrath, he was able to take all his clothes off without none of them ripping, despite the fact that Wrath had a shirt on and trousers and stuff like that. They didn't rip, but they just come off magically. Am I the only one who noticed that, or am I just going insane?
I did question when that happened as well. I was thinking, hold on a minute, shouldn't have the clothes been torn away or something? But no, they just magically come off, and voila, there's Raph ready to go. I'm a bit
Yeah.
confused myself with that, and I'm glad you brought it up because you're not going insane. I thought I was going insane.
Oh, thank God for that. But then we do get Han who joins the battle, and he tears down the whole arena. A few things here. First off, when Leo jumps up to slice the metal bars that hit Han on the skull, Han should have died by that. That was a pretty big, heavy chunk of metal. going directly onto his skull, that should definitely like killed him, or at the very least done like a lot of brain damage and stuff like that. And then like also saying that when Hun pulled down the whole arena, that also should have done quite a bit of damage to the turtles. Do you want to care to rant about that as well?
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Like a bat, like something to the head like that. That is gonna cause some damage. Like maybe some bruising. Hell, even a potential like broken skull. That is like some serious like medical attention you need right there. But including with the cage as well, Han's strength is unparamount. Like I'm surprised that Han isn't running the Foot. Well, Han is running the Foot Clan because he's the strongest. But I'm surprised he hasn't overthrown Shredder or anyone else. Like Han's strength is impeccable. Like he just brings that cage down like it was made of styrofoam. Honestly, it was just showing how powerful and how much of a threat Han is to the turtles in this universe. Han is a force of nature to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, I think this episode does really go to show, like I've been saying, like throughout this episode, it's like this is. I would say this is Hun's true, full first appearance as like a proper villain, and I must admit he does a really great job at all of it throughout this episode. And then as we go into the next scene, which is just an amazing one, where we get to see Casey hold up a bat to Hun's head and think about killing him, and then she comes in and says like, "No, you're gonna make the biggest mistake of your life." So I have conflicting thoughts about this scene because on the one hand, I love this scene so much. It really says a lot about Casey, Hun, the relationship, and all that. And I do think that Angel did make the right choice, and because you shouldn't kill people. But at the same time, with what Hun has done to Casey, I feel as though it's a bit understandable. Not to mention Hun's a bad guy, so I feel as though you can make some sacrifices. But yeah, like, what do you think about this scene?
That's actually a really good point. I really didn't think of that, to be honest with you. Like, I understood the rage, the anger that Casey had towards Han because Han destroyed his childhood in a way. And I completely understand that if he wants to take revenge, he would take revenge. But of course, Angel steps in and she says no. And I guess that's kind of protecting his vanity and his humanity in a way, that he would become this fearless and inhuman in a way, to not feel, um, in a sense, to be human connections. I believe that Angel did save his vanity in that one, in that specific scene, that she stepped in and she stopped Casey from making a huge mistake. Otherwise, that would have just played on Casey's mind if Casey was to kill someone. Despite the fact that he has almost killed hundreds of purple dragons in the past. Like, he has killed, like, potentially killed so many purple dragons in the past. But with this, I believe it would have affected him in in some way or form.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like I always think about because like this scene could have gone either way, and I feel as though that if this show was able to be more mature and able to do whatever it wanted to do, um, I do think that this scene right here would have been one that definitely would have gone a different direction. I do think if it wasn't for the fact that they needed to keep Han on for like toys and stuff like that, and also to also maintain the kid rating, I do definitely think it probably would have gone the other direction. But we do have the final scene where Casey is brought in to have some pie with Angel's grandma. What do you think about that scene?
It was really cool to see different human characters as well, like Angel's grandmother, and of course seeing Angel home safe and sound with her family. And also, I just liked how Casey is so integrated into his community, despite the fact that it was only one individual. But it just shows that Casey is a caring, kind soul who cares about everyone and cares about his community as a whole. And it was just really cool to see him and how he's being accepted by other people. Because originally we only saw Casey and April together, and I thought, okay, Casey has some social communication problems. He's not very good at communicating at himself, but seeing him communicate with Angel's grandmother, it was if that he has the ability to communicate, but he doesn't know when to and do so at proper times. But just seeing him with um Angel's grandmother was just a really cool, heartwarming scene to watch. Just seeing him, he is accepted in his own community and that his community looks out for one another. That was just a really important message that I got from that one.
Yeah, I have to say that with this scene, I do feel as though he really did show that Casey, how good of a character Casey is with other people. Um, I don't know. I feel it's like one of those scenes that like definitely would have liked to explore a lot more in future episodes or other scenes. We get to see him interacting with other people. Just because it feels though Casey's like one of those type of people. Um, that like you would have like very fun interactions with everyone, no matter what. You'd always look out for everyone and all that. And I would definitely like to see a lot more of him because I feel as though that there is so much potential with his character that they don't really ever really get to explore. But yeah. So what do you think about this episode overall?
Overall, I really did enjoy this episode. This episode was very unique to this series, and I believe it showed a lot of character development and just exploring different environments, different characters, different story arcs. It was a really good and interesting episode. And sure, it was a Casey episode, but this episode showed so much light on Casey and his entire character overall, showing his anger, his rage, his kindness, his hopefulness in humanity, and of course his just overall perspective on how he wants to protect the young from going down the wrong path. And that was just really great to see in this episode. And I really wish that I would seen this episode sooner as a kid and just experienced it firsthand and just see how different it was back then to which it is now. And it was just really, really good overall.
Yeah, I'll just say that overall, this episode was just amazing. I do think there's like a few things in this episode that do hold it back from being like a perfect episode. But I do definitely think that this is like one of the best episodes from this season. That like definitely like shows like how good potential this show is with like exploring other characters and their relationship with one another. And do you think that's like a really good difference between the 2012 version and this one, where even though this episode is not really that important, it doesn't actually do anything really for the story or anything. But I do think that because of how much it develops the characters and you see their interactions with one another and how they grow, it does make for a really fun watch. Whereas the 2012 one, while they were fun for the episodes, you could watch them and you more or less wouldn't really miss much because majority of the filler episodes they were either just like doing the monster of the week type thing, or it was either that the turtles would try to learn a lesson and then by the end of it they would learn the lesson which they somehow forgotten before the episode. But like with this episode, it's like a really great example that you can do these third type episodes that like like you more or less don't really have to watch, but at the same time because of what it does do for the characters, it does make you invested in watching these for the episodes, when reality is you just don't really need to watch them, and I think that's a really good thing. So yeah, do you want to hear some comments now?
Let's hear him.
Okay, so let's start off on Reddit. We've got Windbreaker HD2. They put wasted character. She had like one other episode after this that was more about her brother. Uh, and I'm glad IW did her justice. So yeah, she does appear in like a few more episodes, but it's not really that many. And she does appear later in the comics, but again, they don't actually do anything with her character. Well, she's like one of those characters that like she has so much potential, but yet they hardly do anything with her. We got Goat Goatheart Elizabeth. They put something to note. When we first meet Casey, he's ready to beat the living hell out of purple dragons, just because it's the purple dragons. But in this episode, that trigger he has towards him is pushed back to look for after Angel. It shouldn't be noted Angel is the only girl to be in the Pearl Dragons, and usually gangs don't invite women, let alone girls. So Casey's concern for her wouldn't be over the fact that she's attempting to join a gang, is what the gang could do to her. And yeah, I must admit, hearing that comment, it really just made this episode a bit more like problematic, I would say. Which I don't know, if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but either way, they did it. Okay, so on
Yep.
Facebook we've got Scales Hamato. They put, I really like the episode. I think Angel is a great character, and I agree that this is a good case episode. I enjoy episodes that delve into the characters' personal lives. I really enjoy the tales going undercover. Yeah, I must admit, like those things that this person pointed out, they were arguably some of the best things about it. Um, Havjo Hovat. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right. Oh, this is actually a really good, interesting fact. Um, Fun fact about Raph and Angel have the same voice actress in the Croatian dub of this episode, which I must admit that's very unique. I would say. Um, and yeah, Lisa Danielle Hollenbury, they put, it's a good episode and comes in exactly in the right place for the series. It's a standalone, but there's plenty of character development which is needed at this point. Also makes the dragon seem more threatening than fumbling, which is a bit of a danger when the turtles are kicking their asses at every turn. Bigging them up as a legitimate menace makes them beating them since more of a challenge of or achievement. I rather like how there's a feeling of community. Casey's neighborhood. Um, he's looking out for Angel. Knows grammar. Makes the world feel more linked and characters feel fleshed out rather than plot devices. There's a number of small moments like this in other episodes, and I always like them. Um, Angel would have been an interesting character if the writers had gone more in the protecting of the streets direction rather than space threats. I like her, but I can't think that where she's into the plots of the way that season 3 and 4 went. And yeah, more or less true. Chris Kilper, they put, yeah, the episode is okay, just a different version of Lone Ref and Cub. And that's a really great episode, Lone Ref and Cub, and we will get to that one. Um, okay, Alex Funk, they put agreed. The first time I saw it, Casey and Angel's relationship made me think of Rocky and Boobala and Marie from the first movie. Maybe that's not what they had in mind, but for me, it was familiar. I don't really know what Rocky, Boobala, and Marie from the first movie. I don't know what they're talking about. So yeah. um, we've got Andrew Wagon. They put, I love Angel, and I seriously wish she was in more adaptations. She's a real character, a kid just looking for a place in life. I did feel like her redemption arc was a little rushed, and I feel like it could have easily spanned another episode of her just initially fighting with herself about doing what she wants and doing what's right. And it would have been really impactful, but also understand that she's not exactly the focus. Richardson, they put, I love this episode. It feels real. Things going down the wrong path and adults trying to get you to do the right thing and it coming back around. Uh, Canava, they put 2003 has overall very good episodes. Magma Striker, they put, for this episode, Angel, I had to say, was awesome. Um, Hands down, Angel's story was actually understandable and quickly makes you care about her character and story. Her becoming an ally to the Turtles and friendship with Casey was just very good. And even though her character was not used more, she was always fun when she was on the screen. Um, and yeah. Okay, do you want to hear about some like trivia?
Let's hear it.
Okay, this is the first appearance of Angel. When Casey is captured, he tells Angel to ask Raphael at the abandoned warehouse at the corner of Eastman and Laird, which is obviously a reference to the creators of TMNT, which was Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Donatello flips the bird, sort of. Okay, what? I'm very confused by that one.
What?
Do you understand that one?
Where does he flip the bird? I didn't see him flip any bird in that episode.
I mean, we'll just take it, so we'll just accept that one. The turtles finally tell the Pearl Dragons that they're turtles, thus ending the gang's confusion of them being lizards or any other creature. Great. That was. Well, that's kind of disappointing with all the little trivia. Um, Okay, so for the cars, we got Angel done by Tara Jane or Tara Sands. Got Casey Jones by Mark Thompson, Donatello by Sam Riegel, Hunt by Greg Carey, Leonardo by Michael Sinterklaas, Michelangelo by Wayne Grayson, Raphael by Frank Frankson, and Splinter done by Darren Dunstan, Dragonface by Creed Leak. But don't say who Angel's grandmother is, though, so I guess I was lost to time, really. But yeah. Who do you want to look into this week?
Ooh, I'm not too sure. I was gonna say either Angel or Han, but I don't know if we've gone over them yet.
We don't do Angel because we don't see her for like quite a few seasons.
All right, let's do Angel.
Okay, well you'll be quite surprised with her with what she has done. There is something in here that you're going to be very shocked by. Okay, so it doesn't really say her age on the BGS yet, but okay, so she's in Digimon The Adventures, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon as Sammy Sneasel Ferret, and then also the one which I'm pretty sure you can know her as Bulbasaur.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was in the first movie as
Bulbasaur?
Bulbasaur. Yep, the original Pokemon, everything. Yeah, she's like another one of those actors that done like she's been in a lot of stuff about the same time, not really famous in a way. But yeah, just like the thing you have to know is that because the company that made this show was also the one who was also doing all the UK or all the English dubs for the anime such as like Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z. I don't know about Dragon Ball Z, but like Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Pokemon, and basically if they were in one show, then there was a very high chance there'll be another. Just because I'm pretty sure all the actors from Turtles were in Pokemon and stuff like that. So yeah, but just looking down her thing now, and there isn't really too much that you've seen her in. Like she's just done either a lot of like one-off type roles or roles that we haven't really seen. But I think the Bulbasaur one was her biggest role. So yeah, uh, yeah. I'm just looking down here now. Just lots of stuff that she's been in, but not enough that we've actually seen. But yeah, she's been doing acting for quite a while, really. I don't know, just like anything that you're looking at. Okay, yeah, I just got to the bottom of her list, and um, yeah, I don't think there's really too much to really say about her because she's done a lot. I can't deny that, but at the same time, she hasn't really done enough that we've seen her in. So I don't think there's really too much to really say there. But like, I do think the biggest thing is her Bulbasaur role. Okay, so yeah, going into the next week's episode, it is called The Garbage Man. What do you think is going to happen in that
The
episode?
Garbage Man. I've I really don't know. I've heard that name somewhere before, but I can't seem to remember where. But I believe that the garbage man is referring to either a garbage waste disposal worker, and I guess this is just going. I'm just going to go out real crazy right here, so bear with me here. Hang on to something. I think someone is going to get turned into
Okay.
a mutant by some mutagen, and of course, it's going to be some guy that's going to be working on the garbage and of course the garbage and the mutagen and him mix into one and becomes the garbage mutant. That's what I think. I know it's a crazy thing, crazy idea, but that's what I think.
Yeah, you were quite a bit off. It does have something to do with like all the garbage and a man, and yeah. But next week's episode is a very weird one. It's like it has a great message, but the way that they go around it is just terrible. So who do you think is going to be starting the episode?
Well, the last 3 weeks of doing this, I have been wrong every single time. We've had Donny, we've had Casey, and uh, I'm just going to go out on a whim here and I'm going to say Michelangelo.
Yeah, you're wrong. He's Donatello again.
Donny again! Uh, I,
Yep.
I'm losing my touch, honestly.
Yeah, it's quite sad, really. He was doing so well for a minute, and then yeah, this is I'd say, but this is just not your game.
I don't know, literally. I don't understand anymore. It's just so different. And just trying to figure out who's the new character and whose new voice it's going to be. It is very, very complex, this series. And just trying to understand it all is taking some time.
Yeah, by the time you actually like truly understand it, it'll just be too late. But yeah, do you have anything else to say about this episode, or are you just sort of done with this one?
Um, Overall, this episode is really good. Really did enjoy it. I love the new environments, loving the character development and the story arcs with the character developments as well. A really cool episode. A really, um, a really strong and passionate episode as well, and just showing how kind acts can go a long way in this day and age and in the world in general. Just seeing that is just an awesome thing. But overall, an absolute great episode. 100% would recommend.
You gotta say that this episode overall is arguably one of the best from this season. It shows Casey and Hun in possibly the best possible light, and it is just a really great job of just developing everything in this universe. And while not necessarily an important episode, it definitely is like one that you'd have to watch because of how good it is. But yeah, if you do want to get into the podcast, you can leave your comments on the community tab on the YouTube page, or you can leave it in the comment section below. You can leave it on the Facebook post I put up, the Reddit post I put up, or you can leave a message on Anchor, either text message or voice message, and we'll read them out. But yeah, I've been your host Teddy,
And I've been Hayden.
and we'll see you all soon. Goodbye, yo, bye.
Bye.